Hi kids, Linda here. Hello. I'm peeking in from the side because I want to tell you a story today and have everything kind of all set up here. But it's Christmas time and I'm very excited about Christmas. Are you excited about Christmas too? Yeah, and we all like Santa, I think, right? Here's a big old stuffed Santa that I have and he's very fun. And we love stories about Santa too. And I have some stories I'm going to read to you in another video. But today I wanted to tell you the story about the very first Christmas that happened many, many years ago. And it just so happens to be Santa's favorite story. Did you know Santa has a favorite story? He does. And I'm going to tell it to you now. There's a lot of ways to tell this story. Um, I have some fun books like this one and this one, and here's another one with pictures of real children where they're acting out the story. That's a lot of fun too. And I have some little puppets like this that are very fun. I like to tell the story using these puppets sometimes. It's a little donkey and there's Mary. But I wanted to tell you the story using this board today. This is called the flannel board. It's just made out of cloth and things can stick to it. And I have some really cool flannel graph pieces that I can tell the story with. So many years ago, in a little town called Nazareth, there lived a young woman and her name was Mary. And Mary was expecting a baby. She had a baby in her tummy. And the king of the land said, I want to know how many people live in my country. So everyone has to go back to the town where they were born because I want to count how many people live in my country. Now for me, I was born in a little town called Sedro-Woolley. So I would have to go about 60 miles away back to the town where I was born. Where were you born? Do you know? If you don't, you can ask Mom and Dad. Maybe you were born in the town you live in now. But Joseph, Mary's husband, was born in the town of Bethlehem. And so Mary and Joseph had to go a long ways to a little town called Bethlehem. Now remember, Mary had a baby in her belly, and so it was hard to travel. It was a long ways for her. And her husband Joseph, they had to walk the whole way. They didn't have a car or a bus or a train or an airplane they could go on. They had to walk. And Mary, of course, was pregnant with her baby. And so Joseph got a little donkey for her to ride on, maybe like this little guy here. And Mary rode on the donkey all the way to the town of Bethlehem. Now remember, when they got there, there were other people who also had to go back to the town where they were born and to be counted. And so there were a lot of people in the town. The town looked something like this. This is a fun, pretty picture of it. Lots of colors. And towns in those days were mostly made of, in this part of the country, were mostly made of mud and stones. And the cities usually had a big wall around them. So they went into the town of Bethlehem and they knocked on the door of the inn or the hotel. And Joseph asked, is there any room for us to come and stay while we're here in Bethlehem? And the innkeeper said, no, I'm sorry. There's nowhere to stay. All the rooms are full. So Mary and Joseph went to the next place. They knocked on the door again, and still there was no room. They were starting to get very worried because it was almost time for the baby to be born. They knocked on another door. Hello, Joseph said, is there any place we can stay? We're desperate to get a room. Our baby's going to be born any time now. The innkeeper said, I don't have any rooms, but I do have out back, I have a little stable, a little barn where I keep my animals, and you're welcome to stay there. And it might have looked something like this. A little place where the animals lived, but it was warm and cozy, and they could stay there with the animals. So they went into the manger, into the stable, and Joseph got some nice clean hay and put it into the manger. This is actually the place where the animals would come and eat some hay. It was a little box there that they had hay in it, but he put in some nice fresh hay, I think. And Mary got to sit down and rest. And that night, amazing thing happened. Mary's baby was born. They named him Jesus. And they laid him in the manger. And they were very happy. And in this picture, Joseph, you see his eyes are closed. He's praying. He's thanking God for this baby. They were so excited. Well, outside of the city of Bethlehem, out in a field, there were some shepherds. They were people who took care of the sheep. And they were out in the fields taking care of their sheep at night. And all of a sudden, in the dark sky, an angel appeared. A very, very bright, beautiful angel appeared to the shepherds and said, "Don't be afraid. I have very good news. In the city of Bethlehem is born this day a baby, and his name is Jesus, and he will be the Savior of the world. God has sent his Son to show us how much he loves us, and to show him what God is like, is to show us what God is like through the life of this baby Jesus." So that is one of my favorite Christmas stories. It's the first Christmas, and now at Christmas time, what we do is we celebrate the birth of the baby Jesus. So I hope you enjoyed this story, and maybe you have a manger scene at your house. Maybe you have some little figures, some little things. I have these cool little ones here too that I like to play with. And they go with the little, oops, baby Jesus is upside down. There he is. And they go with this little barn over here. It's very cute. And I can put them in there and remember the story of the very first Christmas and how much God loved us and that he sent his Son to show us how much he loved us. So Merry Christmas to all of you, and I'll be reading some more stories in another video. Bye-bye.